Welcome to the CLIMAX Academy Live. I'm Jim Miller, the Global Training Manager. This series we are doing is a good example of the overview of some of our equipment and processes that we use. Today we're going to be going over a time study of welding versus mechanical sleeve. So if you have any questions during this video, it's a short video, go ahead and go to the bottom of your screen, the Zoom Q&A, and type those in, and we'll have time at the end after this to answer those questions. So as always, I want to start with safety. I like to do a risk assessment. I've got a nice clean area here. Clean is always safe. Well, clean is usually safer, let's put it that way. Careful to look around for any trip hazards, anything that might come in contact with the machinery. We're not going to be running anything live today, but you always want to be conscious of that. You want to watch out for pinch points, chips, cutting tools, anything that might get in your way or get in the machine's way. Okay, so we're about ready to start the video. So if you have any questions during this, go ahead and type them in at the Zoom Q&A, and we'll get to those after the video, please. Okay, now that we've watched our video and got an example of that sleeving versus welding, let's go ahead and go into our question and answer period. Looks like we have a couple of questions. John, you want to start us off there?
How thick a weld should I have between base metal and final bore?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's really subjective to the application. Okay, depending on the diameter of the bore, whether it's a real small bore or a big bore. Generally, I like to have at least 30 thousandths of weld up to an eighth or even more, depending on what I need. I don't like to go so close to the base material that the weld itself is paper thin. And I want to really make sure that I have a nice clean bore, either that hit it with a flapper wheel, or get all the debris out of the bore, so it's a nice clean bore, so I have a good bond and a good tensile strength of the sleeve, or of the weld that I'm putting in as a sleeve.
What if the bore requires a hardened sleeve?
Yeah, that's real common in a lot of modern equipment. They have hardened sleeves and hardened pins. So the trick is I got to get everything out of it. If the sleeve is crushed and fragmented, I got to get all those pieces out, because that's going to foul my weld. That's going to contaminate my weld. So I want to get all that out. If I have a complete ring, makes it easier. Then I can put a weld on the ID of it, shrink it, and then it comes out a lot easier. I might have to press it out still, but I got to get that sleeve out of there. And then I want to clean the base material really well. I want to build up the bore, make it smaller, and then machine it back so that I have the proper fit for the hardened sleeve that's going into it.
How do I know how much clearance or press fit I need?
There's the question. That is something I've done a lot of trainings for customers in the field and here. That's always the question. How much crush do I need, or how much clearance do I need? I use a rule of thumb. This isn't an exact science, but I calculate about 5/10 per inch. So if I have a 5-inch bore, I want about 2.5 thousandths smaller than the sleeve. So so when I press the sleeve in, or I shrink the sleeve with like a liquid nitrogen and put it in, I want about 2.5 thousandths per thousandths of bore. So that's my rule of thumb for that. Now, on the other side of that, if I have to have a clearance on a pin or a bushing that I want clearance on, I want about 1 thousandths per inch. So in a 5-inch bore, I'd have it about 5 thousandths. I'd have the bore about 5 thousandths over the pin or the sleeve that I want to be able to rotate. So that's a good rule of thumb. As you get bigger, bores are very seldom perfectly round. I mean, we're not dealing with a laboratory, so you're going to have deformation. The bore's not going to be perfect, so you have to have possibly a little bit more clearance as the bores get bigger, but that's a good rule of thumb. Okay, well, that looks like all the questions that we have at this time. So if you think of something after, as always, go ahead and submit those to askcpmt@cpmt.com, and we'll be sure to get back with you and answer that, or we will use that as an example for a future video that we might do. If a lot of people have specific questions about certain things, certain equipment, certain applications, happy to do that. So thanks for joining us, and be safe out there, and we'll see you next time.